All right. All right.
Yeah, we live now.
We're on this boy.
Yes.
On this B-boy. We on this one.
All right. We're going to end the Black History Month with the B-boy. Got the OG, big homie Stringz. Hey, Stringz, is your wife available? She can join us if you want.
Oh, she can? I'm not sure if she would probably have to.
I mean, I know she got to get it together, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'll let her know. She might let me know.
Cameo, something, she wants a little cameo.
Yeah.
Little drop, little drippity drop.
We live, so shout out to everybody watching. Welcome to Good Vibes to the Good Brothers. Episode 18.
Alhamdulillah. This is the 18th one?
18th episode, bro.
Have mercy.
Yep. We coming up on a quick year. Real soon. Real soon.
Almost, yeah.
They gonna
good brother, CD.
With that red, black, and
red, black, and Dean. He's red, black, and Dean. Red, black, and Dean.
Yeah, inshallah.
Yeah, bro. You already know.
Yep. The only other Haleem I know.
Right. Same here, man.
And it's just, they're just the best at what they do. You know what I'm saying? It's a Haleem thing. You know?
Yes.
Okay. We ended the month.
Right.
28. And
It should be more Haleems out there, though. I don't get it, man.
I mean, it's such a...
You know what? We should all get together one day and we all can have a rock together.
That's right.
You gotta put your earphones on, Sheikh.
You sound like you're in the sunken place. See, you sound like you in the sunken place. I know you ain't sinking. You're just thinking.
Yo, shout out to everybody that's watching. Live, Good Vibes, Good Brothers, episode 18.
Good
brother.
18.
Name, Terry.
And you already know what it is with your neighborhood friendly good doc, Haleem Naim.
That's right. Yeah, we gonna holler at, and we gonna shout out the element.
You said elements
of the coaches. And somebody, is that my mic? Whose mic is that?
Ain't me.
Yeah, somebody. Yeah. Well, we're gonna shout out the element of the coaching that, for some reason, gets swept under the rug and just forgot about. To be honest with you, unless it's like real people.
Yeah, because every time you say something, there's no feedback.
No, I think it's because he's yeah.
You sure?
No, it's
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's your mic to me.
Yeah, that's his mic.
Yeah,
when you took it off, you got clear.
There's my mic, y'all. Let me see what's going on. It's kind of ghetto. It's real ghetto.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me now?
Still some feedback.
There's some feedback. So,
it's because of Sheikh Kafani.
Okay, he got the sun right behind him. So, alhamdulillah. All right, let's jump in.
Yeah, that's what it is. It was him.
It's him. Okay.
Yeah, because I muted him. I think how he got his joint. He probably got like both his joints busting in. But anyways, yeah, we gonna roll with it, man. Sorry for the inconvenience, everybody. But yeah, we episode 18. Sorry about the ghetto that kind of came in, but we about to holler at the B-boys. Matter of fact, this is so deep because the thing about it is that Kafani is one of the original pioneers of hip hop in the city when it comes down to the core of the culture. Like literally, he's a pioneer. Him, Hassan Marusi, you know what I'm saying? Maurice Malone, Proof. Matter of fact, Proof came in after Kafani. It was really just Kafani, Piper, Hassan's Pops. You know what I'm saying? It's a strong history that people need to learn about when it comes down to the culture of hip hop in Detroit. And they did it. They weren't MCs. You know, Hassan rapped a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Turn that food up. They weren't MCs. You know what I'm saying? They were dancers. The B-boy. You know what I'm saying? Like the B-boy, as a matter of fact, the B-boy is more so the foundation of the culture than anything, because it actually gave it the turn. The breakers, you know what I'm saying? They let the poppers pop and the breakers break. They was breaking to that break beat before they was rocking the mic. Even though you knew what rhyming was or rapping was, they didn't call rap back in the day. It was MCing. And the MC was basically just the master ceremony. It's basically shout out to DJ and shout out to B-boy. You know what I'm saying? That's what the MC was. But now we get, for the most part, it's all about the MC, and it's all about the poets, and it's all about the producers. But we gotta make sure that we can put the vibe on it and the light on the B-boy. So with that, and also, it's a very important part of the culture because a lot of the elements of the culture revolves around Islam and the teachings of Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad, and it goes back to the Prophet Muhammad. We start talking to African, to the Zulu Nation and stuff like that. The core.
I had a battle with them.
We don't get into it. The core.
I had an argument with Afrika Mbata at the Apollo when we performed because he was trying to include Islam in it.
See?
Red Alert and Flavor Flav got mad at me. He was like, "Who is this sticker man trying to check Afrika Mbata?" Because every time he said the Zulu Nation, he would go, "The Zulu Nation." Every time he said it. And he tried to add Islam, and I was like, "No, you can't add the deen and check them." He invited me to Connecticut, but I never went.
Good. That's bad, but we don't let y'all introduce yourselves.
I can't even wait. You can't even wait.
You ain't going to his house. You know what I'm saying? Alhamdulillah, man. We got my brother Sheikh Kafani, the Grandmaster, OG, Sheikh Kafani Cisse. How did he dance better than your favorite Sheikh? He should be your favorite Sheikh because he can dance. You know what I'm saying? And then we got another OG. He an era after Kafani, but he's been around a long time. You know what I'm saying? And he sums up the game. You came through being the same way, right, though? For the most part, through the culture. Yes. And that's another story that we got to tell. So we got my man Stringz, Haleem, Rasul. So again, we got myself, brother Jermaine, and we got the good doc.
Haleem.
That's right.
This is it.
So we want to let y'all, Sheikh Kafani, you go first, give a brief description of yourself and your history. Brief.
Wow, how you going? Brief me, bro.
Like hands. It's brief like hands. You know what I'm saying? Like fruit. No, I ain't gonna say fruit. We're just gonna keep it on hands.
Haleem, Sheikh, you go jump into your give a brief description of like your background and you know some of your story too.
So, inshallah, what I will start out with is that actually dancing and performing brought me to Islam.
That's right.
Some people refute music and dancing, but dancing and performing music brought me to Islam, took me around the world, and took me to Africa. I would like to say more so say I am a b-boy popper slash more houser now. The b-boy that we have online is Stringz.
Mm.
Stringz, he's the one who knows all the foundations and everything. And after I got back from Africa, I met Stringz at a dally in the alley. And he was like, yo, I heard about you. And we danced for a second. And so even though I'm an OG in the game, it's Stringz that I follow. Stringz is the only b-boyer I know who has bust a headspin on the Great Wall of China. Who's jitted in China. Right now, if Stringz wanted to start rapping in the jit game, he'll crush everybody because everything he would say would be true. But coming back from that after to the Rhythm Kitchen, which is the predecessor of the hip hop shop. The Rhythm Kitchen where Taib Dyer spun, and may Allah bless him and raise him. And also Mike Huckabee, who just passed, may Allah bless him and raise him. This is where the core of b-boying and dancing started in Detroit. This is the place where Hassan and I used to dance every week and battle every week. This is the place that every night we had a cipher. So it would be me defending Islam against Ansar Allah and all of them. But Islam was always a part of it, and a lot of people have to remember after the Rhythm Kitchen, there was the underground on Woodward that Maurice Malone had.
Mm-hmm.
After the underground, there was a place right by a Jewish synagogue called Wax Fruit. All of these were hip-hop places. But hip-hop and house were kissing cousins. They were coming up together. So I came up in the Rhythm Kitchen. I started performing with a techno group called Inner City. But in New York, I was able to battle Scoop and Scrab, Heavy D and the Boys, EPMD. Yo, oh man, we went hard, but they didn't know none of the Detroit dancers. Man, we knew how to do everything they could do, so we ate them.
Hey, you know who I heard was cold back in the day? My uncle used to battle. He battled Bobby Brown dancers. You battled them?
Bobby Brown dancers came later. Bobby Brown dancers came later. At that time, hip hop and house, I performed for Austin Dre all over. I performed for Triplex when it came to hip hop. Also the dance, booty bumping, all of that. We made all of those dances. And at that time, we were about to perform for either Michael Jackson or Hammer. 70% of MC Hammer dancers were from Detroit. 70% of them. And the only reason why we didn't dance with Michael Jackson is we didn't have the ticket money to get from here to California. But the game was out there. And at the height of my career, when I was traveling to Europe, I dropped everything and went to Africa. But that's everything in a nutshell. It's too much to put there. I performed on the Apollo. I'm the only house dancer that has 3 full-feature videos with me by myself. The first video I did is called Disclosure by White Noise. It has over 66 million hits. Right now, Stringz is always trying to get me back into the game. If I wanted to teach dance and do workshops and everything, I would be making very good money.
You should.
But you know, I wouldn't be able to teach. I wouldn't be able to be the Khatib of the Masjid. I wouldn't be able to do the work I've done with Dr. Haleem. I wouldn't be able to do the work I do with the Ansars and all that stuff, you know. But I can say this, it's created some problems with me because, you know, people like, you know, called up the Sheikh like, yo, the Sheikh dancing, he wilding in the Tariq and everything. But if somebody approaches me for about 15 to 30 minutes of dancing for $1,000 or more, I am going to take that job.
Yeah.
It just so happens whenever I do one, it blows up. I did one with an African sister in the UK that blew up, and it's supported by Gucci. It was called Black to Techno. Yeah, but Stringz, he can tell you a lot of things. He's been to Africa with JIT. He's taken JIT around the world. He has a documentary on JITting on Amazon Prime Video and everything.
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. He Man, he's traveled everywhere. He's jitted everywhere. He's done it in Africa, taught that. And String's game is so tight that he's the only jitter I know that teaches jit in a university on a university level as an elective that you can take at a class. Now that's high class and high level b-boy. So let me just segue on into Strings.
And that's a alhamdulillah right there. Definitely. But yeah.
That's high level. You're fading out, Strings.
Your audio.
Okay.
Your audio.
Huh, that's interesting. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Okay, it was my mic. Okay, first off, alhamdulillah, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yes, what Kafani is saying, man, it's so on point. His story is so extraordinary. A documentary could just be, you know what I'm saying, on his experience.
Right.
Definitely. We got to work on that, actually.
Got to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like, where do I begin? I just say, you know, growing up, I have family members in hip hop, so that was like my first influence. My late cousin, Hakeem, he was a b-boy. He danced.
He was cold.
Yeah, a lot of people know him. You know, he was like Mason, you know, from Mason in the Morning, Detroit Pistons announcer. It was like he used to manage my cousin Hakeem for different dance projects. You know, he was hired for the Jerry Lewis telethon and so on.
Wow.
You know, my older brother, actually, he was an MC. He was part of a group called Third Kind with Salam. Actually, they were the ones to kind of like, you know, I'm like the younger brother, you know, just having an impression, and you know, I see them holding on to the dean. You know what I'm saying? I remember Fly singing one of the verses, man, and you know, that's really started my path. Even though my father, you know, he's Muslim. Early on, you know, my father and my mother separated, so I was raised as a Christian. I took the dean, and you know, right before I went to college in '95, and I believe that was the best move, because you know, going to college and like at that time, you know, it was like, it really kept me grounded. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. So okay, late '90s, yeah, I'm exposed to the hip hop shop, St. Andrews, you know, all of that. I started to travel to New York, the birthplace of hip hop. You know, I'm around the pioneers, I'm around the culture. This is before social media. Keep that in mind. Like, you know, we was really doing it. We was seeking out these places, and you know, we was there in the midst. And I'm getting educated on the culture of hip hop with the pioneering group, the Rocksteady Anniversary, and I'm seeing how they preserve their culture, and at the same time, I'm noticing that, you know, Detroit has its own unique thing, because jitting, you know, I thought that everybody in the world was doing it, but I found out based on my travels it was exclusive to Detroit, and then that led me on a path of like actually uncovering that history, you know. So the blueprint started from me, you know, exploring and seeing how, you know, other people maintain culture, you know, preserving culture. So that led me on my path of JIT, because JIT is considered our Detroit hip hop, you know. So when I teach at the universities, you know, that's the angle that I go. I actually was able to write a proposal for, it's called the Next Level Hip Hop Diplomacy Program. And I got a chance to go to Indonesia as a part of a program that featured like a b-boy, an MC, beat maker, DJ, and so on. And so I was in the midst of that, and you know, completing that program allowed me to be now considered like an ambassador, a cultural ambassador, official cultural ambassador. So alhamdulillah on that. Also too, I was able to do a residency in Kurdistan at a time where, you know, and it was kind of funny how I got that opportunity, is because there were other great dancers who turned it down because of that was a hot zone. You know, nobody wanted to go over there. You know, so dancers were like turning that down. You know, actually it was Mahogany Jones. Shout out to her who reached out to me and said, you know, they're looking for a dancer to teach, you know, hip hop in Kurdistan. So I was able to go there and meet some cool brothers there. And, you know, it's interesting because, you know, in the breaking scene, everybody kind of like, in my travels, want to be like the US. Yes, this is where it came from. But sometimes, you know, they go too far. Like they want to get the tattoos and they want to listen to certain type of music. So they have this like, this image, you know what I'm saying? I felt like a duty for me to be like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm Muslim, you guys are Muslim. I know you're embracing the culture, but like, yo, don't forget the deen. And, you know, not just don't forget the deen, put the deens first, you know, because they was going hard out there, you know, they still are. So, you know, I see hip hop is a gateway, and it's a way to, you know, have dialogue and share and things like that through the culture. But it's still like, it's still, we have a definite responsibility. And I'm just blessed to be able to, like, you know, in my travels to be able to contribute and like share the deen when I can, and like just make sure I keep the deen first. Like through my travels, I make sure I hit the masjids, you know what I'm saying? Like every place I went, China, you know what I'm saying, Paris, you know, Indonesia, like Africa, you know, places in the Middle East and so on. I did miss the first place I went, my first trip. I went to Sweden, and for some reason I didn't get to go to the masjid, and I made a dua. I said, you know, if I ever get another chance, I'm gonna make sure every place I go, I'm gonna hit Juma, and I kept that. So yeah.
Alhamdulillah. So what we're gonna do is I want to know, like this black folks, we have such a way of working and taking whatever we are given, whatever Allah has put in front of us, and literally just like make it magical. So what is? So I would ask you, what is the expression, like what is an unspoken, subconscious, or a spiritual message that is to be that is trying to push through, you know, what you're doing, is trying to push through, you know, this angle of hip hop in B-Born, in your dance, because you're academically teaching it. You've been on the streets teaching it, so you've come at this from a number of different angles. And what's the connection? What's the expression? Or what is something that people can't just pick up and read, that's a connection that you see? Our ancient tradition, our ancestors and different people trying to speak through what you're doing. What's the meaning you have behind this, or do you see behind this?
Is that a question for me?
Yeah. From Haleem to Haleem. It's gonna be for see the Kafani too, but I'm gonna give him a little time.
I got your black. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, so I'll go first.
Yeah,
okay,
go ahead.
So that's a very open-ended question, but I will say at this point, I feel like it's necessary to highlight the culture, because just like with other things that Black people in America have, you know, been able to do that's beneficial to the rest of the world, sometimes we don't get the proper credit for, and kind of get lost in the sauce. So I feel like right now it's very important to bring the awareness back on contributions that Black Americans have done, and it's embraced by the rest of the world. Sometimes here in America, they don't see that connection. You know, I experienced that connection. That a connection is very well is thriving, and I feel like it's important because it's good for just race relations and so on. You know what I'm saying? That's something to hold high in esteem. Because right now, you know, sometimes, you know, we're looked at, and our reputation is not connected to hip hop is negative. So, and just teaching the correct history of hip hop. You know, there's, you know, the original hip hop wasn't, you know, about, you know, what was right now is you see in the forefront, you know, it's gross materialism, you know, disrespect, you know, just and so on. So it's about getting back to the roots, letting people know, like, yo, this culture that the world is embracing, and it's very lucrative, and it's where it started from, and the people it started from. You know, let that not be forgotten. So that's very important, I think, because sometimes hip hop can be suppressed as being positive for the community.
Hey, Stringz, matter of fact, when you the mic, that's what have your mic rubbing to your
oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah. Okay, my bad.
Well, like he was crunching or something.
Oh man.
I'm like, yeah, but I also want to ask you that too, and you probably jump in too. But one thing I learned about, especially with b-boying, is that, I mean, it's kind of a lost art in the hood, but it's crazy, like in East Asian communities. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's nuts. And I think you said you traveled around that region, right? What was it about it that they just love about the elements? You know what I'm saying? Because they still do this. I mean, graffiti's still big in like West Coast and some areas, but like they real big about the elements of the culture. Like, what did you learn on your travels when you went over there, and why? Like, what stood out the most?
Well, in China, or just in general, man.
In general, like from travels and stuff like that. I really want to know in general too. Like,
yeah, for sure. Like, definitely that people are embracing Black culture. I mean, talking about from dress to speech, everything, subtle nuances, everything. So that's something that's not talked about, and it's getting lost in the sauce. Because prior to me doing this, or when I started doing this, that was not the case. You know, I remember those transitions to where I was seeing Koreans on the videotapes dressing like Black people in the hood,
right?
Jerseys, everything. Now, if we compare that to something else, like if you saw like another culture dressed like cowboys and doing that thing, you would you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's cool. It's just that it's gotten to a point, it's done past the threshold to where it's like it's no longer associated with Black culture. You know what I'm saying? And it's getting detached to the point where you have Black people in America that's thinking this art form was created by Germans or whatever, and that's a shame. So it's a disconnect. So actually, go ahead.
What do you think? See, and I want to, CD to jump in. What do you think people in other cultures? You know, we're talking about East Asia right now. What do you think they're trying to capture about us, about our culture? Why the jerseys and the jeans and the high tops, and like, what is it that? I mean, it's something very grossly different. It's very grossly different than, even traditional Korean culture or Chinese culture. There's a whole line in the history there. So the jumping hot, like a whole nother way of dancing, a whole nother way of dressing and talking and nonverbals. What are people trying to capture when they try to take in our culture and our history?
I was going to say something, but I'll let Kafani.
No, go ahead. No, I'm sorry. He's muted right now. But yeah, go ahead, Haleem. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So I would say it has a lot to do with like pain and struggle. You know that they might not have you know experience with. You know what I'm saying? And also too, like just going back into the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? You know, it was prophesied that, you know, at a point in time, you know, the lost sheep, you know what I'm saying? Like we would bear certain curses. So we kind of see why that we were even, you know, had this covenant with the Most High in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for me looking at it as a black man and seeing like our state, you know, as a nation, at like how we can be like at the bottom, you know, at the same time, we can see like in the scriptures that we were at a high point, and but you can see the remnants of it based on how we're able to influence the world, right? So just imagine if we could have our cake and eat it too, you know what I'm saying? Like, so like sometimes like I don't even feel mad because I know it's part of the curses, you know, and but at the same time I want to educate and bring that awareness to, so our brothers can be like, okay, boom, I see the connection. The only way we can actually change our condition is to follow the commandments and like embrace the Most High. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way. You know, even if it's independently, but you know, that's the way. You know what I'm saying? Of course, all praises due to the Most High. Islam is the religion for the whole world. You know, so.
Sheikh Kafani, can you can you know what I'm saying, come on, like salam,
Yeah.
give your little juice on the situation. It's many your travels, and your travel, you see the same thing though, and you seen the transition from the eye getting completely taken away from, especially in the hood, from the b-boy. You know, I remember back when we was kids and back in the day, like every last element of the culture what we was into, like we was into. You know what I'm saying? Like we do little fake little shows and stuff. Everybody had dancing contests. And they were the gangsters back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like young street cats had dancing crews. Street cats, I know street. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, you just started the b-boy just lead the hood. You know what I'm saying? Well, for the most part, as far as for the naked odyssey. You know what I'm saying? But like give us a little, like give us the transition. You know what I'm saying? The show when the transition from like for the one from go ahead. Which one you left?
Went from b-boy to what? What were you saying from what?
Different transitions. Like when you see the b-boy just taken out the equation and elements.
I mean, I came on the pond when it got kind of taken out. I wasn't here. I was in Africa. That's Stringz generation. Because when I came in, it was strong. You know, the hip hop was real tight in Detroit because you had the Southfield Floor Masters, you had the Motor City Breakers. You know, I came up with BKs. I came up with Earl Flynn's. Right. I used to have a Schwinn bike, so I used to ride. I knew some white guys and stuff like that. So, but at that time, hip hop and b-boying was real deep and tight in Detroit because the gangs never could infiltrate Detroit. We have some affiliates here now, but they have never really infiltrated. The only part of Detroit the gangs have really infiltrated is the Southwest Detroit. And that's only because the Latino community, you know, rock with it. But Detroit has always been sets. Man, I'm from Dexter. I'm from Linwood. So the whole gang thing, they was like, no, B, I'm from Linwood. I don't care if you know what I'm saying. So I came from that set. So the dancing stopped a lot of fighting. But that's when Detroit had a very powerful a group of people helping at the centers. They destroyed Detroit when they took all the little community centers away. Because we had Buffalo, we had Northwest Activity Center. I used to go swim. I learned how to swim at Henry Ford High School. I learned how to drive on the driving course and everything. You know what I'm saying? Because I grew up by Henry Ford, and that's when we used to do our initial battles and stuff. But the two greatest crews at that time were the Southfield Floormasters and the Motor City Breakers. Detroit male dancing increased because of male dance. Shitting, funketeering, all that. No one else can claim that because real male dancing for the African American community started in Detroit. The real head rap shows that you see in Atlanta and everything, they started at the Latin Quarter. They started in Detroit. All that stuff went out and stuff after that. So I was able to battle and dance and perform at those things when I learned what Baba Sundiata. The thing that changed my dancing was a program called Festival by Kim Weston, where you could sing, dance, and all of that. That's where I met Hassan Mausi. And at that time, I met my African dance teacher, Baba Ali Abdullah. Baba Ali Abdullah changed the game for me because he taught me how to let music dance through me instead of me dancing to music. And he was Muslim. So I would be going to dance Mondays and Thursdays. I would be fasting, dance, break fast, go make salat, and come back to class. And everything he taught me about African culture taught me about Islam. And so my Islam, it grew because of dance again. So I was in his dance group for 2 years before going to Africa. I produced a rap group called G Poet while I was in Africa. And it was even with the permission of my Sheikh. Some people got angry about it. I went to get permission and everything, and they ran him. They're like, "Yo, Kafani is doing this." He was like, "Yeah, I know." He asked me. So this thing I've done here and all the way over in Africa and anywhere else I can in the world.
That's all. I want to jump into that too, right? Since we know, I mean, we can talk to so many scholars, right? Or different people that came in from the dean, came in from the streets, or came in just, even when they was in school. The era that you came in from was like the era of Dawa, right? That whole late 80s, early 90s was Dawa Central for hip hop. Like hip hop was.
And shout out to Jersey, because Jersey, Poor Righteous Teachers and all of them, the whole, before Wu-Tang and them came through, they came through with the knowledge, bro. They came through and the dancing, yeah.
Yeah, the big thing, who else? Man, Kwame. It was all type of cat, right? And it was a Dawa. So when you get a little pushback, or because you are a part of the shoe, you part of the, you know what I'm saying? But your thing about it is that the way people gravitate to it because you have a knowledge of what's going on outside. You stay up to know, and like that's some about hip hop brought you into. So why will people be offended that a Sheikh is doing like it's African? First be African, you know what I'm saying? But second of all, they see a Sheikh doing some damn like you're not like that can be the way that you give your Dawa. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you feel about that when you get this certain feedback from the certain shuruk? You know what I'm saying? Because you already know how I feel about it.
Well, it's not even a shuruk. I'm gonna just say haters gonna hate. It's the students. Right. Like, it ain't like Sheikh Mai looking at my Facebook page.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It be the haters, bro. Haters gonna hate. Who would get it or go to the chef and make it look like something other than it is.
You be choosing something.
yeah. But I've spoken with the chef. Even though I've calmed down on doing shows, there's still shows and things I do. I just do them whenever Allah brings them to me. The video that I performed in by Disclosure called White Noise that has over 66 million hits on YouTube. Stringz, that was a gig Stringz was gonna do. He's like, "Yo, Kafani, Man, I ain't got time. I'm doing some other running. You want to do the audition? I was like, man, I don't. I was kind of fronting on it because I was in Flint at my grandmother's house. I was like, no, they called me, and then they were like, well, at one part we want you to drink, and I was like, no, I don't drink. It was like, well, act like you're drinking. I was like, no, I'm not gonna act like I'm doing. They said, well, we want you to smoke. Like, no. All you have to do is act like you're smoking. You don't have. I was like, no. I was like, you know what? I'm not the right person for y'all. I don't want to do this video. But I sent one video to the group that I had online, and the 2 members of Disclosure, they were like, no, we want him. So they had been in Detroit for 2 months looking for actors who can dance, but they needed a dancer who could act. So, but Stringz, he put me up on that, and that's the link. But
I have to.
So
I was gonna say, then you put me and my wife on another link though. Like you remember that one Muslim event where you invited us to, and we had to open up with Hardcore Detroit, performing. I don't know if you remember that event, but we set it off. And then it was Muslima here at the time. She had to perform, but she was working on a production, and she had seen our performance. Her name is Amira Sackett, and long story short, she hired us for actually a full out Muslim production called Footsteps in the Dark, where she brought in different Muslims for this productions from around the world. You had Sarah B from France. You had Pop Master Fable from New York, and so on. And this was a all Muslim production where we performed numerous times. We performed at the Kennedy Center. There were other,
Stringz, tell them we were the first group to dance B-boy or house dance inside of the African Museum in Washington, the show that we just did. Remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Smithsonian.
Yeah, the Smithsonian. Yeah. Matter of fact, the DJ that night was Ali Shaheed Muhammad.
Yep.
Remember he played that song by Kendrick Lamar when he was saying nigga in it?
Yeah.
And the management got mad. Ali Shaheed Muhammad got on the mic, said, well, I'm gonna still rock these joints, even though the management mad at the beats. It's about hip hop. I don't care if I'm in the Smithsonian. He kept playing the music, but Ali Shaheed Muhammad was the DJ.
He was the DJ, and it was all, basically all white guests in there.
Yeah.
So it was interesting.
But what was dope about it, we had a free tour. So when we went upstairs, we got to see Jessica Care Moore on the wall and all the people from Detroit in the Smithsonian.
Yep.
Dilla.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, we definitely some interesting times, man. Our performance with Inner City, crazy at the movement.
At the Movement Festival, we crushed it. We had the stage. How large do you think the stage was, Stringz? It was ridiculous.
It was the main stage. Yeah,
it was the main stage. But I would say it was about 100 feet wide and 60 feet long. They had ramps that were up, down for different. So we were jumping up and down between the ribbons and dancing the whole song. We killed it.
Yeah. It was like a production, boy. The lights,
it
everything.
was like a production.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
All the dancers in the city hated us after that, bro. I'm telling you, it was hot. Some of them still hot now.
There was when you came in, right? Like you said, you came in Awesome Dre. You came in with I'm sure you
Triplex.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Triplex and all them, right?
Froggy,
yeah,
bro. Esham. Yeah.
The culture, right, was so congregated, right? Like you couldn't separate. Like you had the dancer was like back then. I remember because my uncle was in the group, and the dancer was so important to the movement just as much as the rappers was. You know what I'm saying? So I know you preceded the hip hop shop. So, but this thing, give us some background, like how did.
When it got to the hip hop shop, it wasn't about dancing anymore. It was only MCing.
Right, because he preceded that. So you came in, but you came Morris Malone. Like, give us like the
I
brief.
put Maurice Malone on the scene. I introduced him to Hassan Mausi. I used to model for him when I was in high school at Cass Tech. I liked his designs and stuff. Like the hip hop community didn't know Maurice Malone until I introduced him to him, because they was like, oh man, you know, the jit scene was always real hard, man. It was like, yo, man, that nigga clothes, man. That nigga clothes kind of whack. You know what I'm saying? He got metal. He got metal on his clothes, because he had jeans that you can put metal plates on your knees and bolts and stuff, keeping your stuff. So they hated on it at first, but we started dancing in it and doing fashion shows, and it jumped off. And then he went to New York, and a few people like a few performers started wearing Maurice Malone gear. But by the time it started popping, I had gone to Africa.
Tell them some of the ideas that you used to get Maurice Malone.
I am the one who suggested Fear Allah, me and Hassan, the Fear Allah shirt. Jeans like Jesus. It's like conversations that we used to have, because it was Maurice Malone and Jerome Mongo. Those were the ones who was really over that. And so when we really started getting in that, Dre and a lot of different hip hoppers in Detroit started wearing Maurice Malone, is when he started popping here too. And so Maurice Malone, his hip hop shows at St. Andrews came because he did the last fashion show I did. He did it at St. Andrews. It was hip hop and modeling. So while we was modeling, people was rapping live. And so that's how that show was. And from there, they finally got the position to do hip hop in the basement, because at first the management was hating on hip hop. They thought it was going to bring guns and, you know, all kind of stuff. So they started doing it in the basement, which was St. Andrews. That used to be an old cellar. They used to keep all the old baggage down there.
The shelter.
The shelter. So they made it into a little spot for hip hop right before they left, and then moved it upstairs. Yeah.
So in terms of, you know, you two have had celebrated careers, and there's some other questions, some other things I wanted to touch on what you said earlier, Stringz. But you know, I know you know people say, well, I don't regret anything, or I wouldn't do anything differently if I look back, and things like that. So I guess what I'll do is I'll structure the question a little bit differently. What I would ask you to is, looking back over the decades that you've been in the game, what would you do more of or less than if you were to go back 15, 20, 25, 30, you know, years ago, and beyond, and having in your mind, seeing what you see now, would you do something more of or less than, connect with certain types of people more of, less than? Would you have gone to Africa earlier? Would it, you know, or less than? Would you emphasize something more or less? Haleem, what would you? I'm gonna start off with Haleem. What would you do more of or less than with a celebrated career as you've had?
Okay, definitely. I'll start with I wished I would have mentor more of the younger generation to be able to carry on, because you know, when you know, as a b-boy, sometimes it gets you in this mind state of, you know, you have that battle mind state, and you know, trying to, but you know, you get older and wiser, and you kind of see things a little different. So you know, it was a point in time where my crew was like, we were like the top in the city, you know, but it's like I didn't foresee, like, you know, I thought that was gonna last for a long stretch, you know what I'm saying? But like, you know, a lot of my crew members, they're retirees, you know, they have, you know, other obligations and things like that. So it kind of like, you know, in this situation where like, man, you know, I could start fresh, you know, and just, you know, get some youth, but at the same time, it would have made it more of a smoother transition if, you know, I had thought about that in the process, you know. So, but, you know, I feel like, you know, like I tell people this so they might consider, you know, so it's still like a win-win. And I feel like the place that I'm at now, I'm supposed to be, like, if I'm supposed to like focus more on the educational side and university level, I feel like, you know, that's the place where he brought me, so I'm gonna embrace it, you know. So right now, I really, and that's how a big part of my career is based on, you know, really reading those signs and following through, even though I might fear it, you know, I'm gonna still pursue it because this is the direction I believe he's telling me to go, you know. Even just in general, I mean, the time when I embraced and made this a business, early 2000 after I graduated, you know, like people were saying like, yo, why would you do that? You know, you just graduated college, you know, why would you make a business in dance, you know? So it was very unpopular. And that's when a lot of people was actually fleeing away from the city. And I chose to stick it out and commit to Detroit, and then also put Detroit in my business name, you know, so that says a lot about commitment, which then I use to leverage for different grant proposals, because I won a $25,000 grant from Kresge, another 12 from Nice Arts. So they were able to see the struggle, see the commitment, you know what I'm saying? So you had people. So it's, you know, seeing things in hindsight, you kind of like, you can see the blessings clear. But when you actually going through it, you know, it's like, it could be really like, you know, unso clear, you know. So.
Sheikh, Kafani, I want to, yeah, go ahead. I want to jump in on that too, because, like, again, that's like a core. It can trace back to our African roots, right? The dancing, like it's such an important core of this culture that really needs to be. It needs to be. I'm trying to find the word for it. Updated is one. You know what I'm saying? Updated as far as just the renewal of knowing the importance of the dancer, you know what I'm saying, or the b-boy, or the breakers, and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying. And it's also, they created that for the b-boy was created to keep kids keep the gang members in the New York and all that out of trouble. Like it was a part of keeping the kids out of trouble. So, like, why? Like, Kafani, you can jump in on that too. Like, can you? Like, what can we do to try to create a generation of lovers of the dance, or the art, you know what I'm saying, of the element?
Well, okay, you go on, Stringz. Well, I would say people like Stringz are continuing it. We even have a place that we train in every Monday and Wednesday. Stringz has facilitated that. We take a lot of youth in with that. Last week I even took my son, Kyrie, and he loves music. So with autism and with the blessing of no on the spent, he danced the whole time. So there are things that we are doing. Maybe there are things that we need to do more. Even though we're Muslim, we haven't really worked with the Muslim community because of the stigma. But I remember at Wayne State one time the children were acting so bad in the class that I couldn't calm them down. And so there were 2 or 3 dancers in it. I was like, yo, okay. I said, okay, I'll battle anybody in here. I said, if I win the battle, you all have to be quiet. And if you all win the battle, I have to be quiet. And of course I ate them. They didn't realize, I had a camise on. It was almost like you're about to fight. I took my camise off. I had my long sleeve shirt on, stretched my neck, killed them all. But after that, ate them with their little dances. After that, it created a respect between me and them. And really, that's one thing I have to get a shout out to Brother Jermaine and Brother Haleem. When it came to the Muslim Center and what you all established with the Monday and Thursday fasting, how many years did we do that?
About 3 years.
3 years. 3 years.
About 5. Yeah, about 17. It's definitely about 17. 17 was like the kind of way.
It's about 5 years. And the sleep-ins, things we did with the youth. At that time, we had a high production of communication between us and the youth. Now there's a void. So I think maybe this conversation right here can help us fulfill, to fill in this void. And through dance and through teaching and things like that. But it has to be in a third space. You know what I mean?
That's it.
And so we have to find the only way that we're going to really enter the hearts of the youth is speak in a way that they can understand them, or in a third space, because they're learning the dunya in third spaces. Why can't they learn about the deen in the third space? And so we have to facilitate that. Dance, hip hop, and music. We went from late 80s. We went from an age in which they was rappers, and now they got wappers. You feel me? We went from rappers to wappers. So now hip hop isn't even about the dance now. But one thing good about it is that you're seeing Europeans doing Afrobeat dance.
Right.
Stringz went to South Africa doing Afrobeat dance. You're seeing them do all of these things. And you're seeing when we speak about culture, when I met Africans in Africa, I was becoming them, but they wanted to be me. I gave out my clothes. I ain't care. They wanted to be like me. So it's not just the Asians. It's not just the Japanese. It's not just the Puerto Ricans. It's not just the Puerto Latino, and everything. This thing that started with us is everywhere. And I would like to, and there's a quote that Amir Suleiman says, they love us, but they really don't like us. They love our culture and everything about it. The only culture left in America is from us. All the music forms, jazz came out of these pockets. R&B, our music forms and dances were so great that they would create subgenres because they couldn't get at the top of the charts. We had soul. All the black people at the top, so they created R&B. All the black people got to the top, then they created pop. All the people got the pop, and they would create another genre every time.
Yeah.
So that's us. And then it ended up after Motown, we had the techno age of Detroit, and the techno age is what took this music around the world. And when it went around the world, just like Stringz is saying now with b-boying, now when you think of techno, they try to relay it to white people.
Right.
Techno music was created in the name and the form by Juan Atkins. Me and Stringz were at the discussion when he said it. Techno. They knew that they couldn't do that, so they created electro. They went from electro to ambiance, from ambiance to dub. And they went from that to the point where, they wear Mickey Mouse heads and the computer doing everything. That is not what techno was. The first techno dance club in the world was in Detroit. It was called the Music Institute. It opened at 12 o'clock. And in the morning, we would go out for breakfast. That's when it ended. And that's when, hip hop and techno became one on the dance floors. And then, it went from there.
So we got
Come sit to Giselle.
we got a question. We got a question. So Ben,
hey y'all, I'm about to start transit because I gotta go to work, but I'm still a part of you, and I can still be asked questions and everything. Give me about 5 or 10 minutes. All right.
All right. Well, we'll jump on this I think Stringz, you can cover this one.
Okay.
So she's talking about her being from New York, and at the time, no internet to spread music faster than now. Was Detroit house different from New York house? And how much influence was there between each other and other house cities?
That is a question for Kafani.
Yeah, it is.
Trying to get more
that is a question. So, so what did you say again? Doc, what did you say again?
So the question was like a pre-internet house. Pre-internet house, being from New York and having, First
of all, the definitions are two different. House is a form that came from Chicago. Techno is not listed as house. It's techno. So like house came up in Chicago and it's more rhythmic. But techno was more industrial, so it's more beats and straight up and hard dancing.
She asked the question a while ago. We just
what was it? What is it? What is it again?
It's just talking about house, but it wasn't like addressing the techno thing. She was just asking about is Detroit house different than New York house, and how much influence was there? Was there influence between each other?
Well, New York was basically disco and everything. House as a form, it morphed from New York, from a place called the Garage and the Tunnel, Studio 54. But this is the disco age.
Okay.
And people get disco and house mixed up. They're not the same. There was a natural evolution of these. So New York was really deep into what they used to have balls, and the gay gang scenes at that, especially at Studio 54, would do these large galas. And when they did some of these large galas and stuff, this was all connected to disco. Even Diana Ross, when she did the song "I'm Coming Out," they said for a year she wouldn't do it because she was like, everybody's gonna think I'm a lesbian, and they were like, no, they know you're not. And then when she came out with the song, it became a song for them, but it didn't come from that movement. So the techno, New York as a form, was strongly connected with disco. Even hip hop morphed out of disco. It came out of hip hop, hip it to the dibby. It was to a disco type beat. Rap is the light. And my African dance teacher said that morphed out of bebop, and he said jitting is linked to the Lindy Hop, and he was running all down because all of these things are lit. Their version of jitting was a Lindy Hop, and then it went through different phases, and their version of hip hop was bebop because it went through from swing beats to chopping beats. That's why you can look at old literature and you can see them rapping, and the dancers, when it comes to tap dancing, they will shut the game down. But the New York, so there is a blessing of the disco in New York and morphing in the house, Chicago bass house, and then Detroit techno. But Detroit techno is what took it around the world.
Right. Interesting. Okay.
Techno took it around the world because it was on the advent at the cusp of the internet age. Because before then, none of the other people could get into it because you really had to be a DJ. You really had to blend the music. You had to do it. But when they created these computers and their programs, you could rely on a computer to do it. Detroit prided themselves on DJs. We're spoiled. We have so many good techno and house got DJs in Detroit that it's ridiculous. Even hip hop, there are DJs and everything, stuff like that. But that's what that was all about. And I hope I was able to clarify the question.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a very good answer. There's another question that popped up from our good brother Bilal. And Stringz and Kafani, you can jump in afterwards too if you like. But it's a really good question. What's one of your favorite or best memories in the career? Just that you'll never forget. At what stage is it? You know, what was? I'm sure there's a number of them, but you know, what just comes to your mind right now? Like, yeah, that was amazing.
I would say for me, when I won that $25,000. Yeah, so because that was a turning point in a lot of things. You know, like I had quit my job and never looked back. You know what I'm saying? And it changed the game and the direction that I went, made me more independent. Also, too, it made me established me as an art, and I was able to take my my level, you know, up, you know, based on that endorsement from Prestige, you know. So like I was like, it solidified me as a true artist, and I'm in the books, you know. That, and then also too, when I went to China, you know, I was there with a group called the Hinterlands Ensemble, in a collaboration, doing tours and things like that. But I would occasionally meet up with b-boys out there, and it was one particular incident where, you know, I'm out of towner, you know, so you know, there was a big jam coming up, and I asked could I, you know, step in as a guest judge. You know, I was trying to make that happen, and they weren't able to do it. So I went to the jam anyway, you know, just as support, and then I entered the battle. And then I actually won the whole battle. So, you know.
Wow.
Allahu Akbar.
Yeah, so that was memorable. You know what I'm saying? It was like it was just I was there for Jenning. I wasn't even really breaking that much at the time, but you know, I had you know, strategized a certain way, and it was not easy. You know what I'm saying? So that's, you know, something that really stands out for me. What about you? Fine.
He's making a couple moves.
Okay.
One of mine would be
best memories. Best memories.
Best memories.
Yeah, just one that
when as an African dancer for Ali Abdullah and his troupe, I performed on the stage for Mandela when he came to Detroit. And so I got to meet him and shake his hand. I got to meet him and shake his hand before he came on the stage. And we went so hard on the stage that he came out. You know how he would be rocking his fist like that? He came out and danced with us. So that's one of my most memorable. That was in Detroit at Tiger Stadium.
Wow. I remember that, man. If I got a question for you, Stringz, for you the Jenner, what side of town you from?
West Side.
What side of town started at? So,
there's two schools apart.
East side Jenner and west side Jenner, man. West side Jenner is real west side. You know what I'm saying? So, you must know the difference between the east side and west side. The east side gotta keep it real basic, and we keep. But I would give us like your definition of like the difference between the two.
Okay, west side is, to me, simple. Is west side is geared to more dynamics and flair, and then east side is more foundational, you know, and stylistic, you know. I pride myself on trying to learn both, actually, and then, you know, also too, the Jitterbugs, you know, actually are from the west side. Earl Flynn's are from the east side, where it looks, where the dance looks now is more of stemming from you know, that portion of it. You know what I'm saying? Mad Dancers, Earl Flynn's, but the, you know, the pioneers, the Jitterbugs, was west side, and, you know, started in the 70s. So, but it's interesting. I mean, yeah, it creates this interesting polarizing dynamic, but, you know, it's all Detroit, you know.
So when you battle somebody,
but
go ahead, Kafani.
I like to add, but the thing is that Did you know that most of the early male dancers from Detroit were from the West Side?
Yeah, because they had the clubs. All the clubs.
Yeah,
was
but
on
I had that all the clubs was on the West Side.
How you know
But-
this one?
But it got big.
How you know?
It got, it got bigger when it went through
Oh man.
UBQ.
UBQ. There we go. He broke.
Freezing
Oh,
up
yeah,
here.
you gotta get yeah.
You good now, Kafani?
Did y'all hear me?
No, you froze up.
Yeah. I said, but it became a big thing on the east side because of
UBQs.
skate land.
Yep. We know. We got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we broke up
And
again.
his service is probably switching up.
Yeah, switching
Yeah.
around. Yeah.
Well,
I know he was gone, but you right. When UBQ blew up in the early UBQ, the skate land, the battles of skate land battles back in the late 80s, about 88, 89. I was a kid, but you already know off the porch real young. So you know what I'm saying? Then they had like it was the what? Operation Get Down with that little skate ring, Operation Get Down and all that. So I remember all the battles started taking away. You can like when you look on both sides, you can see the difference between the steps. You know what I'm saying? As far as the footwork. You know the battle Chicago. You ever had a footwork versus? Was you ever one of the battles?
Yeah, you know, I'm the first one that made that happen to bring the train Chicago in 2007. You know, we called it the Jit versus Juke because at the time, you know, Juke was an umbrella term for Chicago footwork, so it just had a better, ring to it. Jit versus Juke. But yeah, that was actually an intense time because that was right when both styles was kind of bubbling. It wasn't exposed yet, and it was like a race to see, you know, who would get that credit for footwork in the Midwest first. So there was a lot of harsh talk about each other's style on the internet. So it was actually a gamble to even try to make that happen. Actually, alhamdulillah, you know, the reason why it happened is because it was one of the Farrakhan was supposed to do a speech here, and so they had buses from Chicago come here, so they used the opportunity to bring a lot of Chicago dancers here. I rented out a venue. The venue was St. Andrew's Hall, and we rented it out, had both sides go at it. You know, I have DVDs of that, and then also there's footage on YouTube. Yeah, so that was a classic battle. People still talk about it to this day. No fights. It was real intense though, and it was a mutual respect was gained that day. So both styles, you know, respected each other. Of course, we had battles after, but you know, so I feel like right now we are more representing as a region of footwork. You know what I'm saying? And we both can, you know, represent our own style. So Chicago footwork can definitely, you know, get respect. They definitely their style is being embraced all over the world as well. So shout outs to them.
How do you keep with something so spiritual, with something so emotional, with something with so much energy, with something that people put their whole pride and life and everything in? You put all these elements into, you know, our culture and our people, and we're talking about battles. We're talking about literally, I am better at what I do than you are, you know, type of thing. Let me ask it like this: how people not get shot? Like, how many people take real? Like, how is it not? I'm not saying it doesn't, but there's a certain. I think there's a certain honor or pride that comes with certain types of things, certain types of battles. How have we kept that integrity and kept that type of honor, or what do you see that as what we're talking about here?
Well, it's understanding. You know, I feel that it's inside of breaking, it's known that, confidence is part of the b-boy stance. And the b-boy stance is like, it's the quintessential, like, visual of the dance, it's that poise that, so it's like if you in a battle and you don't come up with confidence, it don't matter what you did, you know what I'm saying, you lost. So with that understood, it's not necessarily it really set the playing field that it's saying, it's not really saying like I'm like necessarily better than you. It's just like, oh, here's me, here's my completion, you know what I'm saying, this is what I did, and this is how I'm ending my set, you know what I'm saying, and this is what it is, so it's not necessarily, but it took me a minute actually to like adjust to that, because coming up when I came up and start entering these battles and stuff, it's like, if somebody's talking crap and stuff like that, you think that's real, but inside of the culture and in these setup battles, now you can have call out battles that might lead to blows and stuff like that, but it's pretty much understood across the board that you leave it on the floor, you know what I'm saying, and like boom, you can go as hard as you want, but at the end, you dap it up or whatnot. Maybe you don't, but I think dancers nowadays respect each other's bodies so much because we do this, like people ain't trying to like fight and get injured and stuff like that if they really serious about the dance as well. So
interesting. A little earlier comment, I think Jermaine's trying to hop back on, so we'll keep it flowing from there for a little bit. Also keeping track of some of the questions, but there was they had the earlier comment about and it caught my ear, and I actually wanted to talk to you about it.
Okay.
Is our people being cursed, and there's a belief in the Bible, Christianity, the curse of Ham, right? That we are and it implies, and people, at least Black people, have internalized and implied that we are these cursed people, with all these gifts and everything, but Allah brought us down. So I wanted to dig a little further and have a get your I know this is a little random or off track, but I think this was in response to the question about just the culture and why people internalize our culture and things like that. And I just want you to expound a little bit more because it caught my ear. And, you're not just a dancer; you're a Muslim. You know what I'm saying? So definitely. We talk about it all over here. So
first and foremost, I am a Muslim. Took my Shahada, and I go by the Sunnah. You know what I'm saying? I'm Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. However, we know that the scripture that came before, you know what I'm saying, we believe in all of the books, we believe in the angels and the prophets and so on. So I still if we know we use the Quran as a barometer, like if it doesn't agree with it, you know what I'm saying, we don't agree with it. So based on that, I still do research in the good book, and there's certain things that just cannot be denied, like in Deuteronomy 28, when it speaks on, that fork in the road about, the people, the children of Israel, which it speaks of that covenant even in the Quran, many places, that special covenant, and like what it said in Deuteronomy as far as like, coming out of Egypt and being brought back into Egypt and why, you know what I'm saying? And so that's letting you know who are these people. You can identify these people today, you know what I'm saying? So, and it I encourage people to read for themselves and just take a look. because it really spells out our condition like to the T right now. But it not only spells it out, it also gives us the fix. You know, then all we got to do is read Ikra. You know what I'm saying? So in the fix, you know, like I feel like this is something, you know, as far as, you know, to our situation, we always want to know, why are people like, why are we so this and that? It's right there for you, and it's telling you how to fix it. And I believe, you know, I truly believe, you know, that should be something that's more spoken on. You know, me personally. Yeah.
So when when you say, you know, usually the meaning of being cursed is that you're we'll take the Arabic way. Like basically you know, just God doesn't like you. God doesn't like you. He cut off his mercy, fallen off. You just have just descended from everything and what have you. So I'm wondering, yeah, there's, you know, people get tested. You know, people get, you know, we definitely going through something as a people, all type of stuff. But I'm wondering, when you say that, do you mean that, because there's black folks from the Israelites and things like that from before, but when you say, you know, our people are cursed, do you mean that, you know, there's things that we're going through that we need to get out of? Is there something inherent about, you know, the black boys and girls being born into our people that, you know, is a lower state than some other people? What is it that, what is it that I guess you feel that, you know, what's our position or our stance? And then what do you do, or how do you feel Islam and the things that you have attached to in b-boying, in hip hop, in, you know, doing things for other people? What do you think is, you know, the way out, moving from there? So how do you really feel about, like, our stance where we at, and then how do we make a position to get out of it?
So it's more so like it speaks of about the wrath, people under his wrath in the Fatiha, you know, just like it speaks of the people that went astray. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's intended to be, our condition is a sign to mankind. It's a sign to ourselves to recognize that, recognize so much that, you know, that the Most High is real. He's able to do this, but it's also a sign to the people that are doing it to us, that if all they have to do is identify it and know that the Most High is real, and, you know, what he ordained is real. So, as far as the fix is, it's saying, you know, sticking to those commandments, and because it's say part of the curses is we're not going to be able to, like, in a way, like, get together and create something that's going to, like, succeed maybe as a nation or so. But
I'm sorry, I got to break in on this, man, because this is all conjecture. Because the true haqq it's about Allah and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and really realizing where we're coming from. It's very easy to learn of something about yourself from a man who has led you astray for years and only in his language. If you go by the game that he gave you only in that language, and you can't go back to original language, then the man set up that system. It's the man who set up that system. So I do understand the book. I studied the Bible extensively, but we have to study Quran and the application of Allah and the Prophet even more so, because that's where the true answers are. The true answers were not dictated by a man in the by the man in the Old Testament or the New Testament for me. I was a Christian. I read when it said Leviticus chapter 11, verse 7, don't eat swine. And they couldn't answer. I understand all of that.
Yeah.
But that is a guidance and what leads astray. But Quran, and when you get to know of Allah and the Prophet, the true thing is freeing your soul. Those people who talking about look at these certain books, they're not telling you how to free your soul and link yourself directly with Allah. This is what really the melanated skin gives us. This is what the men from those lands really came from. They're not telling you any of that, and that's what Allah is teaching us in Quran.
I get it, but like I said, we know if it doesn't agree, which I stated before I even spoke on it. If it doesn't agree with the Quran, we are to shun it away. So nothing I'm saying is actually going against it. But I do feel like it's a strategy to actually lead people to the deen. Because right now you got.
I think. Okay, put it this way: Black African, it's a way to lead people away from the deen, and I'll explain to you why. They say 70 or 70 some odd tribes will be led away. You're only talking about 12. I'm talking about the ones linked with the soul, or 70 some odd. Some people say this is peak ID. The only race on earth that has to deal with the nation, the 5%ers, the Moors, the Melanics, the Moabites, the Hebrew Israelites, Yahweh ben Yahweh, all of these different groups are the African Americans. All of those paths were to lead us away from Allah and His Prophet. None of them lead you back to Allah and His Prophet because they were specifically made to lead black men away from it.
I
mean, that's the hard part.
I think we're
this because this is a scholarly discourse, and I can't be quiet on it.
Yeah, I mean, but what I'm saying is going against the Quran, though. That's what I'm saying.
Nothing you were saying is going against. Nothing. The average person, LGBTQ person who wants to be Muslim says they're going against anything either. But that doesn't mean it's not going against it.
Okay, so
by Islamic terms, have you learned what Allah and His Prophet has said about this?
Are you saying everything in the Bible is wrong then?
No.
Because essentially,
I'm not saying that. The only thing that's beneficial in the Bible is lineage. When they be like the son of Jebediah, or something of Jebediah, Rugbadiah, but then all the Jews are named Matthew, Mark, Luke. I don't know any Jews named that.
Well,
that's the only benefit. Because see, I studied the Bible. I studied. It ain't like I ain't studied the Bible, and I read all of that, and I came from that foolishness to Allah and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because just think, even people like Nat Turner, and the Melanics believe that Nat Turner is their prophet. The Melanics, they have a pyramid with a red, black, and green with an eye in it. They believe that Nat Turner, but Nat Turner had learned the form of that book, and they had removed some of the verses and everything. And it took them to a point of anger and mishap, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did shine some light upon him through it. But that light was Islam.
I understand that.
Swing it back.
I think too, it's healthy too, not to necessarily get so emotional. I mean, when we're having these dialogues as well too, because I'm not being emotional, but like you, if somebody says something that wasn't right or just wasn't really rocking with what you understand that b-boying is, you say something and you be passionate about it. That's with me on the Law and the Prophet, because I've been through these laws, and I don't want to make it too deep. I don't want people to make it. I'm answering a question that Haleem, that's what I was doing.
I was just asking.
Back to the court.
I mean, that's what I say. Hey, do your own research. I've done my research. This is, like I told you, my faith is firm. I'm a Muslim. I go by the Sunnah. But as far as, I still believe in the books. I believe in the angels and the other prophets. So my education is still ongoing. you know, and there's certain things that I came across that resonate a certain way.
Okay, let me.
So hey,
It's all good. We had that one
am I
thing.
wrong for that?
I'm not.
No, you're not wrong.
We had the 1:30 mark, so again, I don't want to keep y'all too long, but I also want to. Stringz, I remember before y'all, like before, you know what I'm saying, you met your wife, and I was around there down that time at the shelter when y'all started. Like, did that, how did you and your wife build that bond? That y'all came to bond do dance, and then she took her shahada right through.
Yeah.
At the same time, right?
For that, yeah.
Just took her shahada. I made sure too. I made sure she wasn't doing it for me either. I said, hey,
That's key. That is key.
you know, make sure you're doing this on your own accord. You know,
Somebody be.
Your hip hop, your love and hip hop story.
Yeah, we met in the club.
Yeah, I knew it.
But you know, I mean, life is a journey, man. It's like, you know, one hadith I came across more recently is what it says. You know, he created us to sin. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is. But however, you know, it's us to ask for mercy and to be sincere. And you know, in order for us to be saved, it's going to be by His mercy alone. So, you know, there's things that I think I could be doing right, things that, you know, like we said, you know, people think they're going to go and it's not going to be the case. We don't know. But, so, you know, just praying for His mercy. I'm grateful for, you know, my marriage and, you know, for this deen and, you know, in this journey, you know, I'm understanding. This life is, we're understanding what it is to be human.
Haleem, would you, looking at the past, because that was one of the things I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
Would you have gotten married sooner? Would you have gotten married earlier in age? I mean, I don't know if she's watching. I'm just, you know, it's a good vibe. So we just say, well, you know, would you? And just looking at for you in your life, nothing to necessarily do with the, you know, just where you were in your life. Would you have gotten married sooner?
I'm surprised I got married at all, because I remember growing up, I didn't want to get married. I didn't want to get married at all.
Really?
But you know what really pushed it over for me? It's the hadith. It says getting married is completing half of your faith.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. And it's like, at first I didn't get it. But then like later on, I got it. Why is that the case? And it made so much sense. And I say, you know, I can't die in this state, you know, without being married. You know what I'm saying? And then after you get married, you find out the blessings that just floods. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it's deep, man.
So you would have gotten married sooner, or you think it was the right time? Would you?
I think it was the right time.
You wouldn't have changed it.
How long y'all been married? Like almost 20 years, right?
No, we've been married for like 13 years. We've been together to like 18 years, since 2002.
Yeah.
So
19, yeah.
Yes.
So when you set it up, when you saw it before y'all started breaking, you tried to battle her.
But she can explain the situation.
Super, man.
Yeah. No, we actually we won a battle, you know, together. You know, it was a Bonnie and Clyde battle. And, so that was a highlight, you know, because, you know,
that's dope.
You can say that, you know what I'm saying? Like a team, you know what I'm saying, Muslim, and we beat out some big people, you know. So we take that in stride. But yeah, it's a blessing, man. I mean, it's like she's a full-time dance studio manager at a studio, in Birmingham, and she's doing really well. Like it's a blessing that we're able to like be professionals in what we do and like make income and provide for ourselves. That's a blessing, so I can't really I can't really complain, man. It's
Has the virus affected what y'all doing? I mean, this past year, or not really, or?
No, it's crazy because with the place that we live now, we have a double loft unit, and like, like I teach through Zoom at Wayne State, and I have the space to do it. Through COVID, my wife, she was, it was a long stretch where she had to teach every day through Zoom, and she was handling it, so it made it really smooth for us. Yeah.
So, Kafani, you got any plans? We gonna like again because you can look at Stringz and Mario Body. They came together through the culture. You know what I'm saying? And then alhamdulillah, so Kafani, to jump off of that, do you think you plan on adding your little flavor to it, man? Like you part of the show. You grandmaster dancer, like just that is so everything we do is dawah. You know what I'm saying? When the good come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you see yourself advancing the culture as far as getting into as far as just more just teaching. Like teaching just the elements. Even if you more so don't want to dance, is teaching the importance of your history, man. Like you understand the importance of you pioneering hip hop in this region. You know what I'm saying? And not just because the rapper get the highlight, but you are an important vessel to this culture here. And you feel like you gonna put a play down and try to get that out there.
Well, inshallah, there's some things I've done with Stringz and them, and things I've done with myself. But if I did it now, it would be a form of dance taught to benefit the body. I think that's what I'm getting into now. Maybe a mixture of Tai Chi. You all have been on some of my Tai Chi segments, mixed with some form of dance and traditional forms, and maybe and some type of discussion. If I did it, it'll probably be like that. And I like to do it with Baba Ali Abdullah. Maybe we could link you all up, and you all can just have him on as a guest, and him kick his history from being in Africa as a performer. He went to Africa, bro. He went to Senegal and learned, and then he got to a point where he became one of the dancers in the Senegalese ballet. He went from a point where he was a dancer in the Senegalese ballet, studying from Catherine Dunham, to becoming a director of the ballet. Now, this is in Senegal, and the first dance presentation ever done at the Slave House on Gorée in Africa was done by him. That's Baba Ali Abdullah. Yeah.
Go Island, man. It's a creepy place.
Creepy place. Man, but one thing that I did love about when I first met Stringz, and especially with the link to his wife, that like they were Muslim. And so the link that Allah has given Haleem and I, especially in our crew, let's give a shout out to Hardcore Detroit. Could you give all of the sites that we have running from?
In the links, and I can post them up. Please.
Yeah. Because we got Haleem with the follow of Hardcore Detroit and everything. But if it is, it'll be something like that. So pray that I'll start something like that soon, inshallah.
Inshallah. On that note, man, we're about to try to close it out, but we want y'all to shout out. We put y'all links,
social media
links. How people get in contact with y'all. We really want to get Hardcore Detroit some shout outs, and definitely want to get people to you know what I'm saying, check them out. And definitely shout out some of y'all classes. And again, it's still dawah, you know what I'm saying? Hip hop still is a major force. It is now still a major force in the day. It's a major wave of hip hop and dawah going on right now again with the dean. So definitely need to put that on. If you could add your links and stuff like that. But before we give parting shots, we give go to the word of the good doc. Y'all have anybody that want to shout out? Something y'all got on y'all want to, you know what I'm saying, give a reference to and anything like that before we close out for the day?
Shout out to you guys for having us, man.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. I mean, you know,
Thank you.
I like I find it sometimes difficult to speak on this subject in regards to the religion, you know, because I know it could be very touchy, you know, and some things. But I do feel like it's one of those things that I feel like I must do if I'm especially approached, you know. Yeah, I'm just may Allah be pleased with you know, with our efforts. So
Amen. Amen. You got any last words, CD?
Alhamdulillah, just, you know, good vibes with the good brothers. Alhamdulillah, glad to be a good brother and to seeing good vibes on there. For us to, for this to be a form, I look at what you all do as a form of da'wah, you know, to the downtrodden, down to those who might not think to speak on these subjects of things. But some Muslims so scared that they think it's haram for you to even listen to music, but they'll beat their wife. You know what I mean? They, you know, they say it's haram the way that you act and everything, but they'll ridicule their children. So we ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just like our brother Haleem said, and he always got the Haleem vibe. I got two Haleems, is that I'm just thankful that dancing brought me into Islam. It's been a sustained with me in Islam. And I mean, even though I might not perform as much, it'll never stop me from dancing. I go crazy if I don't dance.
Right. Right now. It's the culture. It's in us, man. This is us.
The culture.
You know what I'm saying? And we gonna I love us. We're gonna shout each other out, and we're gonna keep this movement flowing because so many hundreds of thousands of people became Muslim because you know what I'm saying, because of this culture of ours. You know what I'm saying? And to have a pioneer like Sheikh Kafani, who's man, him and Hassan Malusi was the Dawah masters through hip hop. That's what they try to humble themselves about. I'm forgetting that we should be real. Through hip hop, you know what I'm saying? Hassan Malusi, Sheikh Kafani, but Taïd was a gang of them. The original hip hop Jamaat before his mobster took over the hip hop Jamaat. You know what I'm saying? It was the Kafani them. So y'all gotta make sure y'all, when y'all talk about Detroit hip hop, don't ever forget that wave of the Muslim, of the hip hop Jamaat that came through and they put the wave down. And so many Muslims walk around here today because of Kafani and Hassan Malusi. So definitely. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that y'all keep that in mind too, because again, you got people like Stringz and his wife. They are element. You know what I'm saying? Part of that element that came from that culture that was created through with Piper and Kafani and Hassan Malusi and Taïb and Josie Well. I mean, it's a gang of them, man. You know what I'm saying? And Imam Salim Joseph. He was the imam, you know what I'm saying? He was the Imam. You know what I'm saying? Imam Lukman, like these were the soldiers that held us down and that let us be ourselves, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So may Allah preserve them and increase them. You know what I'm saying? May Allah give them Jennifer Dose, especially Imam Salim Joseph and Imam Lukman Rahimullah Abdullah. May Allah give them the highest rate of Jannah, inshallah. On that note, definitely got to shout out, I'll be destroying that name, Sundiata. Definitely got to shout out Sundiata. Sundiata, yes. I definitely shout out Piper already. I shout out again. But definitely got to shout out Sundiata. So on that note, the good word with the good doc.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, salatu salam. All praises due to Allah. All praises due to Allah, and may He send His prayers and blessings on the Prophet. You know, a lot of people you know, a lot of people get culture and religion, you know, mixed up, and a lot of people they say things about our culture. They demonize it. They demonize the music. They demonize the dance. They stigmatize the instruments and things like that. And what is not known, or what, you know, people outside of ourselves don't understand, that the base and the principle of our music and who we actually are. It was one of the first times. It was one of the first times since being enslaved that we could openly express ourselves publicly on a platform, okay, about justice and about what is right and wrong, about love, about who we actually are supposed to be, okay, and inherent in our music, inherent in our dance, inherent in who we are, okay, are these ideas and are these principles of us celebrating who we are. And so when someone and when people don't don't care about you, and when the people do not love you, okay, one of the things that they either teach you directly or teach you indirectly through omission, through negligence, is for you, and what in everything that you are is outside of what is right with God. So it's almost as if, you know, what you are, what you think, what you feel, what you find uplifting, what you work for, everything like that has to be put into a box that's haram. And do know that if it was not, if it was not at many different levels, the people that Jermaine has mentioned, the Imams, Haleem, Imam Lukman Abdullah, you know, you have to throw in many other people who accepted and who took in with knowledge and with wisdom, you know, as our own. If it wasn't for people like them, if it wasn't for people in the streets, people, you know, the Kafani and the Hassan and everybody, what Stringz is doing, what we're doing in academia, what Stringz is doing in academia right now. Okay, so if it's not for us coming in and promoting and showing who we are and who and what we embody at multiple levels, just know Allah was going to do what he was going to do anyway, but guess what? He chose to do it this way for a reason. He chose our people, this country, our music, our culture, our dance, and the purity of it for a reason. Okay? And so if there is a lack of love, a hatred, or a negligence in the heart that automatically wants to demonize whatever is black. But you can play a little Arab doof thing, right? That one little specific drum, and that's okay. No. Because Fiqh 101 and Islam 101, and I'm just repeating what people much more knowledgeable have already taught me, is everything in this religion is halal until proven haram. That's how it goes. Okay? It is not, I don't have to prove anything to you that me biting my nail is halal. I don't have to prove that this watch I'm wearing is halal. Okay? People will sit there. Will sit there with iPhones and Teslas and smart homes, playing all types of frequencies, Wi-Fi's, music, everything like that, and sit there and say why your existence, your expression, your everything is nullified, is haram, is negligent, is what have you. So I am here to tell you, and our good brothers here to tell you that what we are and what we do and what you do, Stringz, and what you have done and what Kafani has done is spiritually and biogenetically engineered for us to express the freedom and upliftment of our people. And freedom and peace is the most Islamic thing there is. Because what does the word Islam mean? It means peace. And it doesn't just mean peace. It means ongoing peace. It's the fourth form of the Arabic word, in case anybody wants to know. Okay, so there's a certain dimension of peace that Allah wants you to consistently have. And to know to be at peace with Allah is the ultimate freedom. And so people who may say against, or people who may not know where we are and what we come from, I'm just catching up. I'm just catching up because I'm a Muslim baby. I was one of them masjid babies. Okay, I couldn't listen to nothing. All right, in the late '80s, early '90s, may still make fun of me or whatever. I can't dance now, but I'll dance in paradise if I get there. Let's believe that. I won't be battling nobody. But but there's a lot of us who've been, robbed from who we are, and these things get whitewashed. And these things get remixed, like Kafani talking about the techno thing or what have you, and breaking things up and making them subgenres. So we're trying. So a lot of our young people, a lot of our young men are trying to find like who we are. Okay, we're trying to find, what fits right. And what I'm saying to you when we're telling you is that it doesn't have to be something off in some galaxy that you've never seen before. There is something that makes your heart and your body move and feel a certain way. Now, I don't know if you ever seen am I pointing in the right direction? Okay, right direction. I don't know if you've ever seen Stringz go. Okay? And just play around. But it's not of this world. It's divine.
Straight
I
up.
was like, I was like, if I get arthritis looking at them, so I don't even get arthritis. Anyway, so like there are certain gifts that Allah gives you for a certain reason to be like, wow, if God gave you that, like what do you believe in? If you are that good at what you do, what do you eat? Give me something. Wheaties, Captain Crunch, something. I need something of you. I need something of you. And that's what I believe. Again, you're there, you're in the street, and you see what people are trying to grab of the culture, but they're trying to get that intangible, and you alluded it to the Strength. They're trying to get this intangible resilience, the strength, this power that only our melanated vibranium encased skin can get, and they see it flowing through you. They see it flowing through you. You spinning on top of your head, going all down, everything going in a direction. You make someone dizzy and amazed at the same time. That's not normal. That's from God. And so, and it's not from God like a bad thing or something like being beautiful and causing fitna. You can use it for whatever you did, but what did you take with it? How did you want to believe with it? What's the one thing that you said that you wanted to change? When you look back, I wish I told more people. I wish I mentored more people. I wish I showed more people. So he gave you a talent, and he gave you the talent, and he gave you a heart that could embrace it. And you're gonna sit here and tell me that's not from Islam? That's not from the religion? No, you're not from the religion if you think that. Because our prophet said it. Our prophet said, do know if one person says another person is a kafir, then one of you is a kafir. If one person says that somebody is out of this religion, then one of you is out of this religion. So I'm here to say, and the thing that you said earlier, the best time was that $25,000, right? From the Kresge thing, from and you got to there was another thing, another place and another thing that you performed. Well, what that says to me is that that's validation. That was validation. $25,000 checks don't just drop on people randomly. Because I'm sure we'd have got something. Everybody asking for a stimulus right now. So it's validation. It's somebody tangibly. You see something that tangibly says you are one of the best at what you do. And you can hold it and you can see it. And so the thing is this. We have to know, the part of knowing ourselves is knowing our history and know, I like what this guy, we got to get him, Masood al-Haq. You are Black history in the making.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They will. Okay, we're about there. I'm sorry. Give me 30 seconds. We are we're Black history in the making. Okay? If you've seen what this dude can do, you better tell your grandchildren. This dude, you better tell your grandchildren. It'd be messing me up with this camera. Tell your grandchildren about it. You need to. And you will see. I hope and I pray that these things are recorded. I hope and I pray that generations from now they can even just see, people like Kafani, people like myself, people like Jermaine, people like Stringz, people like Dr. So-and-so, Sheikh this or that, judges, that we talk to each other and we respect each other. And we don't have to agree all the time. But there's a group of people that you're going to hit that I'm never going to touch. And there's a group of people I'm going to hit that you're never going to touch. But that's all the math. And there's a group of people Jermaine can hit and Kafani can hit that we're never going to touch. But that's all the master plan. And the secret to all of us connecting to it is brotherhood and sisterhood, being able to respect where each other are at. And so I'm saying this as a level up and a reinforcement. And thank you. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much, and may God always bless you in what you do. And bless everyone that you touch. So, yeah, there's your good word.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Appreciate you, Stringz. Appreciate you, Sheikh Kafani. So I know you have to go to work, but this is, again, a very important topic, a very important conversation that needs to be had, a very important light that's going to shine on an important mark of our culture. Again, it's 5 elements. And again, it's all based around the foundation of knowledge itself. And that's the core foundation of hip hop. And then you also think the B-boy is one of the original chords. The dancer, the breaker, the popper, all that is original chord. And that was one of the callers to the culture more so than anything outside of that little break beat. You know what I'm saying? So for anybody that don't know this culture, y'all talk hip hop this, hip hop that, and you don't even talk about the B-boy, you are extremely ignorant to this culture. You don't know anything about it. You know what I'm saying? So what we're going to do, we're going to highlight the complete package of our culture. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get some artists on here, you know what I'm saying, real soon. And we're going to highlight that. This is what we're doing. This our time. This is it. I also want to shout out our sponsors, Design Pro Web Solutions. Make sure that y'all hit up our brother Sheikh and his team to get your dope graphic designs and logos and trademarks and all that what you want to do. How to Design Pro Web Solutions. And then you can't forget about brother Imam Rashid Makti and his wife Intisar. Alhamdulillah for bandages. Make sure for your brown skin, you put them bandages on your skin. Stringz, you probably need some. I know they were. You probably have scrapes and stuff. Give me some bandages. You know what I'm saying? And alhamdulillah, man. Shout out to everybody. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. For those who watching, man, share this. Make sure that this get out to the people. Don't let this just go under the rug, man. This is an important part of the culture. It's an important conversation for the culture. And this is our culture. This is us. And this is Islam. This is Black Muslim stories. Alhamdulillah. So assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, everybody. Everybody have a beautiful day. Sunny outside. الفاتحة.
All right, peace.
Peace.
Long time.
What's up?